Adequate public notice of this meeting was provided by the Secretary of the Board on May 6, 2022 to the Home News Tribune and May 7, 2022 to the Star Ledger and the Clerk of the City of New Brunswick. The time and location of this meeting and all meetings of this body are posted in City Hall, 78 Byron Street, New Brunswick. Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno. Here. Mrs. Medina Hernandez.
Here.
Mr. Ortiz.
Here.
Mrs. Seawood. Mrs. Solis.
Here.
Mr. Spencer.
Here.
Ms. Varela. Ms. Sevilla.
Here.
Dr. Caldwell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please rise for the flag salute. Dr. Johnson, if you'd lead us.
Ready to salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A reminder, the next regular monthly Board of Education meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, beginning at 7 p.m. right here at the New Brunswick High School in the auditorium. Time flies, I tell you. This year's going by. Is there a motion to accept the July 19, 2022 monthly board meeting minutes?
So moved. Second.
Second? Okay, roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno. Yes. Mrs. Medina Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Moving on to item number 4, the superintendent's report. Dr. Aubrey A. Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Caldwell.
Thank you.
In July, we shared an updated safe return plan for your review and requested input from our school community. We received a total of 173 responses from parents, students, staff, and community partners. And we want to thank everyone for their feedback. Our updated safe return plan is being submitted for formal approval by the Board of Education this evening with minimal revisions. We will continue to implement our face mask optional requirements, but strongly encourage the use of face masks. Following recent updates to COVID-19 guidelines from the Centers of Disease Control, the CDC, yesterday Governor Phil Murphy signed Executive Order 302, lifting the requirements that school districts maintain a policy requiring unvaccinated staff to undergo routine testing immediately. However, there's nothing in the executive order that prevents a school district from maintaining a vaccination or testing policy as they see fit going forward. We will continue to implement safety guidelines and protocols recommended by the CDC and the Department of Health in conjunction with the district policies and will adjust accordingly to our community COVID-19 transmission and vaccination rate. Last week, our summer school ended with approximately 2,300 students successfully completing the programs. Our attendance rate was approximately 71% district-wide, and we want to thank all our students and families who participated in our program. We are very much looking forward to welcome back all students and staff to kick off a successful 22-23 school year. The first day for teachers and support staff is scheduled for September 1st, and the first day for students is scheduled for September 6th. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
We need a motion, Mr. General, for that?
Yes.
So
Is there
moved.
a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno.
Yes.
Mrs. Medina Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Moving on to item number 5, the Facilities Committee report. Mr. Edward Spencer, Chairperson.
Mr. President? Yes, Mr. President. The Facilities Committee met on August the 10th. We discussed the progress on our summer projects, the replacement of the gym floor in Lincoln School, and air conditioning in both Roosevelt and McKinley School gym. The Blanquita Valente School, we have received all required approvals from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs with the exception of fire protection. The final educational approval was received from the Department of Education on August 18th, 2021. Treatment works approval was on August 11th, 2021. Water main extension permit was approval August 20th, 2021. Stormwater management plan review, conditional approval August 20th, 2021. Delaware Raritan Canal Commission approval September 15th, 2021. full site soil erosion and sediment control plan approval September 20th, 2021. All pre-construction remedial actions have been completed. The underground tanks have been removed, the holes have been properly filled, and the job trailers have been delivered to the site. Temporary electrical utilities have been connected. Site demolition, clearing, and evacuation of both detention basins have been completed. Grading and building pad work is complete. Atlantic Engineer continues to provide quality control testing and inspection service related to concrete and structural steel. The final piece of steel was placed on August 21st during the topping off beam signing ceremony. That's July 21st, 2022. We are 100% done pouring the concrete floors of the second and third floors. The last section of slab on grade concrete floor in the area of the cafeteria is scheduled to be poured by the end of this month. Construction on the exterior walls have been started, which will allow for the roofing work to follow. The schedule calls for the building to be enclosed by the end of this year. We have paid $13.8 million towards construction to date, an additional $2.2 million invoice for a total of $15.8 million for this month. We remain on schedule for the completion of date of August of 2023. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer, for that wonderful report. It is amazing how much progress is being made. We will move to the Athletic Committee report. Ms. Varela is not here. Who would take that? They didn't have a meeting? Okay. So no report there.
Reconciliation?
Yeah, there is a reconciliation. Is there a
Motion to accept the...
second? Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Adorno? Yes. Mrs. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mrs. Solis?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla?
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Moving on to the Curriculum Policy Committee report. Ms. Seawood is not here. Is there any report? You take.
Good evening, everyone. The Curriculum Policy Committee met on August 9th. We had a presentation by the Assistant Business Administrator of Operation, Ms. Dorinia Villalona, in which she presented to the committee about the registration process. And I think what's important to highlight that now the registration process is centralized. So in essence, if there's a parent that might have 2 or 3 kids within the district, they'll be able to go through the process where it's convenient to the families and the community members. So I think it's also important to highlight that this is definitely a commitment to being responsive, committed to service, and maintaining the level of professionalism when communicating with our families and enrolling our children into a system of learning. We also had, within their presentation, we also had a couple of updates about the enrollment for our Health, Science, and Technology High School, as well as the P-Tech program. So excited and looking forward to seeing some of those conversations. Resolutions were reviewed and approved, and in terms of policy and regulations, there are 2 new policies that we have, P5722, which is about student journalism. This new policy concerns student freedom of expression in accordance with the provisions of the new statutes. The new statutes indicate a student journalist has the right to exercise freedom of speech and of the press in school-sponsored media. It provides student expression that is not protected expression by a student journalist. Includes a process school official must. It also includes a process in which school officials must follow when it's believed that the student expression in school-sponsored media is not protected, and provides an appeal process as well. Most of the information included in our Assistant District Policy 2432 titled sponsored publications has been incorporated into this new policy titled, now with the new name, Student Journalism. There's another one, P2432, which is school-sponsored publications. Therefore, we're abolishing this existing policy titled School-Sponsored Publication. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you so much for the thorough report. Item number 8, the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, and just reporting once again that the commission is looking for a deputy superintendent with business as well as education experience. That's my report there. We'll now move on to item number 9, public comments. Mr. Janarone, how many people do we, or who do we have signed up for public comments first?
We had 2 people. First is Charles Cromwell.
Good evening, Charlie.
Good evening.
Charlie Cradaville, New Brunswick today. I did want to ask about the teacher shortage. First of all, do you have a number of how many open positions, vacant positions there are?
Mr. Johnson.
I haven't checked it as of today. Usually every year for the past, since I've been here, we've always opened the school with about 60 to 70 vacant positions across the district, and I still want to believe that we are around that number, but I have, it's now 62 now. So we haven't experienced a dip. I think the reason is that there's been a strategy put in place by the district where we started hiring people before vacancies became available. Sometime in April, May, and June, knowing that there will be a shortage. So I think that we were very successful there. But at the same time, every day we do receive a resignation. So maybe I can answer a better question in September, but right now, we're still following the same trend lines, and we look forward to opening the school year fully staffed as best as possible.
Thank you, Dr.
And
Johnson.
that's a national crisis.
I wanted to also ask about the union negotiations. Is it true there's been a contract reached, and how does that impact, for instance, the length of the school day and this teacher shortage?
We're not going to discuss that now. The board has not voted on that, so we won't have any conversation unless Mr. Hendricks, you want to speak on anything on that?
George or Rich, anything?
A lot of those details will be provided in closed session tonight, Mr. Carter.
Got it.
Precise question?
Just the union negotiations. They've not been ratified, so we can't.
No, not yet.
Yes,
we'll
so we
comment
will,
on it.
we'll, as soon as they're ratified, we'll
Okay.
answer
We
that.
think we reached a compromise, but it's not ratified, so not final.
Okay. I do want to give some constructive criticism. I think it's shameful that the students who were not given swimming lessons due to the pandemic are not going to get that made up. They're not going to be made whole, and some of them are not going to know how to swim, and there can be fatal consequences for that decision. Dr. Cole, it's not too late to right this wrong. I know that the Robert Wood Johnson Fitness and Wellness Center certainly has the capacity and capability to make it up to those students, and I would respectfully encourage the board to insist that that take place. It's not right to just write them off as so-called victims of the pandemic. You can do better, and I hope you will. And I finally wanted to ask about Resolution AF. This is extending the lease for the 40 Van Dyke warehouse school building that WIC Companies is leasing to the Board of Ed. I want to ask what the future plans are for that. I know P-TEC's going to continue there, but presumably at the end of this school year, Lincoln Annex students will have a new school to go to, the Blanquita Valenti School. Do you have plans to use the entire facility, or would this just be for continuing P-TEC?
Mr. General? Care to, on AF?
I don't have any comments on that
Okay.
right now in terms of what the future plans of the school are now.
How about the terms of the lease? How long is it for? What is the amount, and are you leasing the whole building?
The resolution is not an extension of the current lease agreement. It's the increase in the amount we pay per square footage.
And what is the
So we'll be
duration?
paying $11 a square foot, which is far below the market rate. So that's what the resolution is approving, the new rate for this school year, which is $11 a square foot.
Gotcha. And what's the termination of the lease? When does that end?
I believe it's 8 years from now?
8 years.
Yeah.
My goodness. Okay, well, I guess I'll file an open request to get a copy of this document. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you, Charlie. Have a good night. Rich, who else signed up? Ms. Stork, welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mrs. Thorpe of Park Boulevard. So, I had some of the same questions about how successful we were at recruiting teachers to replace the ones that have left, but also, in addition, how is the substitute pool looking? So what's the plan for those 60 classes that won't have a teacher?
We're looking at different models right now, but I don't want to publicly state an affirmative that that's what we're doing. Just to give you an idea, there are opportunities for us to continue to hire additional staff members, which means that we will hire a teacher that may not be necessary in the district at the time and use them to support substitutes in the building. So if we were to hire, and I haven't had this conversation yet with my administrative team nor with the board, but if we were to hire 2 additional teachers, they can support substitutes for their building, and once a vacancy, and if a vacancy opens up within their building, we'll be able to slot that. So that's one of the ideas. Of course, substitute is also a problem, has always been a problem, but we're trying to think outside the box to better support our schools moving forward.
And I've always thought it was a good idea to have at least one sub on staff in each school, as a sub, not necessarily just waiting for a slot to go into.
We did implement a substitute incentive program last year that substitutes that stayed with us for, I believe, a year. Is it a year? In a 12-month, they do receive a stipend at the end, so that seemed to be successful, and hopefully those substitutes will still be joining the district.
Okay, good. I was wondering too, you said $11 a square foot at Van Dyke was an increase? The amendment didn't have to do with extending the lease, the amendment had to do with increasing the per square foot price?
You're asking if there was an increase?
Yes.
Mr. General, did you want to answer that?
What was the increase?
Yeah, they said, was it an increase?
Yeah, to $11 a square foot, yeah.
So the existing lease was modified?
The existing lease was modified, correct.
Why? Would they not have had to rent it to us for the amount that they agreed upon?
I'm sorry.
It had a provision for rent increases,
Oh,
so it's not
okay.
fixed.
And this is...
It's not fixed for the full term, so
Ah,
negotiated increase.
okay. And how about the AC at Roosevelt? Did that get finished in the gym?
No, it's not finished at this moment.
It will be finished by the time school starts?
Maybe not.
Ooh. That's not good.
We're working on it.
Heat that we've had. And 71% attendance in summer school is on a daily basis out of the children that are enrolled in attending, or it's 71% of the children that were identified for summer school actually showed up?
71% of the students who enrolled in summer school. So
71% average show up on a given day?
The enrolled amount, 71% of the enrolled amount showed up to summer school consistently.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's my question.
Have a good evening. Mr. General, anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay, just President's report, then we'll take the consent agenda. The one thing I believe that our topping off ceremony for the building was after the last board meeting, and I just wanted to say, I mean, that was one of the most proud moments I've had being on the board, because it is, and in my comments I said, this is one of the major collaborations in the United States, not just in New Jersey, where you have the school district with the city, with the university hospital, with the university, with community organizations pulling that together is an extraordinary model of how town should work. And just think about the thousands of young people that are going to benefit from that. And that's so critical. And also those who have cancer are benefiting from the Cancer Institute. So I just want to applaud the board, applaud the city, applaud everybody involved. That was really just, it's an amazing example of when people are positive and they come together, what we can do as Americans. So with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
A roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Warner?
Yes, but I abstain on AN.
Mrs. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mrs. Solis?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
You abstain on? I abstain on AN.
Ms. Varela?
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla?
Yes, abstain on AN as well.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Excellent. I'll now read we have the Finance Committee report. Ms. Diana Solis.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Caldwell. All members of the board have had an opportunity to review the Finance Committee report, and I'd like to request a motion to approve the report as is.
Is there a motion? Second.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Warner?
Yes, I abstain on page 5.
Mrs. Medina Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mrs. Solis?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes, I abstain on page 5.
Ms. Varela? Ms. Sevilla?
Yes, abstain on 17.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll read item number 13, the resolution for closed session. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6, provides that certain matters of a public body may be discussed in closed session, and whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows: personnel matters, matters of attorney-client privilege. Now therefore be it resolved that the aforesaid subjects shall be discussed in closed session by this Board of Education and administrative staff, and the minutes of said closed session discussion will be made available to the public when the reasons for the non-disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act no longer exist. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Roll call, Mr. General.